What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of my show. So after last week, some of you may have remembered that I got bombarded by a reviewer who was unhappy with the way I reviewed their book. So I've been seriously considering renaming my channel to Good Books Reviewed Badly. But I have learned my lesson from the experience, and I have taken down some notes because now I'm actually doing a review on a book by a group of guys who I respect quite a bit, and I don't want to miss this one at all. And the book in question is science fiction double feature by these guys named Sam M. Phillips, who wrote the book Into the Eye, and then we have Phosphorus by Adam Bennett. So these guys are the owners of Zombie Pirate Publishing. So since they're both zombies and pirates, the last thing I want to do is piss them off and have them show up at my door and shoot me in the chest with a cannon and then eat my brains. So I took some notes down to make sure I don't piss these guys off. And I'll tell you what, I didn't get to Adam's story yet, so I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to do part one right now, and then I don't know when I'm going to get to Sam's book, but the reason I'm doing that is because the very first book in this book, the very first novel in this book is Phosphorus by Adam Bennett, and when I finished reading it, I said, this deserves its own video. It was really good. So I didn't want to take attention away from his story by just making a quick video and jumping right over to Sam's book, So assuming, since I've read a lot of Sam's work as well, assuming that his book is also going to be very good, I think that his is going to also merit a video of its own. So that's why I'm doing that. So today we're covering Phosphorus by Adam Bennett. So I did jot down some notes, and I have to be very, very careful because there's so many twists and turns in this book that I'm very fearful of giving anything away. I just don't want to. It's very difficult to review fiction because of that alone. But I can kind of lead you up to the middle part of the book where the story really takes off and all these twists and turns start to make sense of why things in the beginning of the book happened. So to give you a brief description of the book, we have this character named Dietrich. Could be pronouncing it wrong. Could be Dietrich, but it's spelled D-I-E-D-R-I-C-K. For the purposes of this video, I'll just call the dude Trick. So he's a monk of the order, and he wants to go on a pilgrimage across the continental USA. Now, this book takes place well into the future. There is this great migration of humankind from the smaller civilizations on Earth where they just all live together in these gigantic cities, gigacities, I think they're referred to in the book. One of them's in New York, and another one happens to be in Washington State. The remainder of the continent of America has just been overtaken 90 years since the Great Migration. It's been overtaken by Mother Earth. She's just reclaiming it, and there's barely any signs of civilization anymore. So Trick decides that he wants to make a pilgrimage from the New York City to the city in Washington. He wants to do this because he wants to impress the elders. He is a member of these great group of monks, and he wants to prove himself worthy of the council, and hopefully he become one of the warrior monks, and then he can be on like an active duty status, which is pretty much as high as it gets. So he figures by doing this pilgrimage, it'll boost his chances of getting that position. But unfortunately, on his way over there, he bumps into these two people because there's these ports. It's interesting. He's got a pretty cool imagination. You have to have a good imagination if you're going to write science fiction. But there's these ports that tourists can land on in various parts of the jungles of North America where you can kind of explore a little bit, and then you jump back in your rocket ship, and it'll take you back to whichever gigantic city you're coming from. And he runs into two tourists who have kind of wandered a little too far off the tourism path. And it's really interesting because immediately, the guy, it's a man and a woman, recognizes Trick, and he calls him Trick, and that's when Dietrich realizes, hey, this person knows me. I haven't been called that in like 10 years since he dropped out of school. Well, this guy, Wynn, and his female companion, maybe girlfriend, I'm not sure, May, get into a nice conversation. Now, May's beside herself because the legendary monks of the order, she refers to him as a priest of the order because she kind of miffs it herself a little bit, but it's not very often you run into them. So since they kind of wandered off the path and he's friends with this Wynn guy, Dietrich decides to help take them back to their port and kind of be their protector, you know. He's just a nice guy, and he really just wants to make sure that he helps them out. So unfortunately, as a result of this, his pilgrimage gets interrupted, and he ends up finding himself on a rocket ship with these people to make sure everything goes accordingly. Since he's there with these robots, the thing's piloted, and all the people working on the ship are robots. So they're pretty aggressive. You sit down, strap you in, you know. You don't really have too much of a choice once you're on one of these ships. You're just underneath the robot's control pretty much at that point, so they get you to your destination. Now the story kind of gets real interesting. He's making a friend with this older woman named Dot on the ship and everything else, and they're flying back to, I believe it was New York, and something happens where a big hole there's just this huge explosion. They get hit with something, or there's an explosion, but when they go up to take off, and a big hole in the hull happens, and this poor woman Dot, she's the first one to go. She gets sucked out of it, and Dietrich, being a monk, he's able to meditate and get into a calm place, and he's able to help everybody stay alive long enough to the emergency, till the robots can provide some sort of an emergency landing. Now, not everybody makes it. There's a lot of people that pass, but around 40 or so survivors make it. And they get rescued in the jungle by these rescue ships, and they get taken to Washington. Well, now, everything was on camera. Everybody's got cameras on them. Everybody's got little things in their ears so they can hear other people talking. So everybody in the state of Washington knew this disaster was taking place, and they went nuts about him. He was being hailed as a hero, and they were offering him all kinds of a hero's welcome and wanted him to stick around because he's now a celebrity and everything for being so heroic. But he's a monk, and he doesn't want the attention. He just wants to go home. So they're a bit sad. The mayor and everything just understands what he's talking about. They send him home. And when he's there, he's greeted by the monks of the order, by the members of the council. And they loved his heroics, and they decide that they want to make him one of them. This is something that Trick's been after for a long time. But when he set out on this pilgrimage, he intended to cross the continent. He figured that's what it would take to prove his worth to himself. So he shoots it down because he did pretty much what he felt he should be doing, was saving people's lives. However, he didn't do what he set out to do, so he intended on doing this journey and then maybe getting back to these gentlemen. They understand, they totally respect him, so he goes back to his house. Somehow, some way, this girl, May, now Wynn's female companion, the woman that he met in the jungle and escorted back to the ship, she shows up to his place in New York, and he has no idea how the hell she found him. But it doesn't really matter because she's freaked out about her boyfriend, Wynn. This is Dietrich's friend. She's like, I think he was kidnapped. He was talking about Phosphorus, so if he's anywhere, he's in Phosphorus. Now, if you recall, Phosphorus is the name of the book. That's because Phosphorus is one of those gigantic cities on the planet of Venus now. So it's way up in the clouds, and it's protected because the gas clouds of Venus are just, it's like a runaway green effect up there right now. And it is just poisonous, toxic gases. So it's protected in there, and it doesn't seem to be the kind of place that he wants to go. But he's got to save his friend because that's who this man is. That's who Trick is. He's a monk, and he wants to save his bud. Next thing you know, this poor bastard is on a ship to Phosphorus. Now that's where I stopped taking my notes because I'm going to hammer the rest of the way through this review because I don't want to give away anything. This is where it starts getting real interesting, where you start seeing what Adam was leading up to, from the beginning of the book. Because the second half of the book, you're just like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. And the twists at the end, like the last 20, 30 pages or so, are just rapid fire. And there was a couple times my mouth was dropped. Like, wow, he did a good job. So, immediately when he gets to Phosphorus, he realizes this city, this planet kind of sucks. Everybody is trying to rip you off. And you've got to haggle with everything. It doesn't matter if you're buying a drink. You got to haggle with the vendor. So he goes to the currency exchange, doesn't even realize this, and gets ripped off big time. And there's some people involved that, right there in the currency exchange, that it's just interesting the way Adam does. I don't really want to give away too much. But let's just say that Dietrich gets into a little bit of trouble, and he bumps into this guy named Humphreys. Now, Humphreys is the big mafioso of Phosphorus, and this guy is not the kind of dude you want to tangle with. But Humphreys, he picks up Dietrich because Dietrich, he went and saved a girl in alley who was getting potentially mugged or beat. We don't really know what was going on to her, but these thugs were hurting this girl. They're roughing her up pretty good. He went in there and he just beat the crap out of him, no problem. He's a monk. He's a warrior monk. He's trying to become the highest, so he's really good at fighting. All these monks are. Then next thing you know, he's in another place where there's 4 guys trying to attack him and his friends. Once again, Dietrich does his job, and he protects himself and his friends, and he sends these guys running. So now all of a sudden, this big mafioso guy, he wants to get him, and we find out it's because he runs a fighting ring, and he makes this crazy deal. This is where the book just got fantastic. I was just firing through the pages because Dietrich's down this strange metallic box that like goes up and up and up in these different levels where the spectators are just watching and cheering, and it's just death matches. And he says, if you kill 10 people, I'll fix one of your friend who was, during the kidnapping, they were all caged up together, got injured. So he kills 10 people, and this guy Humphrey stays true to his word, and if he can kill 20 people, he'll let his other friends go. Now, at this point, Dietrich's like, I'm not going to be able to make it through 100 people, but if I can at least make it through 20, then I can die a happy man. At least my friends are safe. Well, he doesn't have to go that far because Humphrey just makes a whole bunch of money. This is where the twists and the turns start coming into place, and I don't want to give away too much more of the book because the ending is where it all wraps up. While you find out everything that took place from the very first page to the last page starts rapid fire clicking together. You're just going, oh, oh, oh. But let me just say this is a pretty damn happy ending where Dietrich figures out what's going on and, he does his job. He saves the day. So I don't want to give away anything else. But guys, this guy did a fantastic job. His imagination is through the roof. And if his good buddy Sam is anything like Adam, I just can't wait to read the second book in here. So, guys, I'm going to leave a copy to Zombie Pirate Publishing's page. I'm going to leave a link to this book on Amazon, both in the description below, because I think you should be following these guys. If you're a writer, go on their page on Facebook.com. Check them out. Give it a follow. Join in the conversation. Submit to one of their many anthologies that comes out. They've published a couple of my stories. It's not easy to get in because these guys have a very, very high. They just want to make sure that your quality work matches what they're trying to put out there. And I've read, let's see, 1, 2. I've read about 3 of their books. Well, I've read 2 of them completely, and I left a review for one of them. One of them I'm in, so I can't leave a review for it. But I'm part of the way through Witches and Wizards right now, and I'd like to leave a review for that. But they have awesome submission calls. Just such unique themes, guys. So I'm going to be leaving a link to their website, to their Facebook page as well, guys. Give these dudes a chance. They're fantastic. So Hopefully I didn't miff this review too much, Adam. If it sucked, let me know in the comments. Fix anything I might have screwed up. Please don't show up to my house and shoot me in the chest with a cannon and eat my brains, boys. So you could have chosen a million different review channels. You guys clicked on mine. I love the hell out of you for it. Have an awesome day, people.